think. Did you get a message? Yes, we're recording. Okay, awesome. So if you could just introduce yourself, Ms. Garcia, and tell us what you do.
All righty, my name is Mrs. Kanisha Garcia, and I am the principal of Lellman Innovation Academy in Pinellas County Schools.
Awesome, thanks. And can you tell us a little bit about your education journey? Where did you go to school?
Well, I graduated from Clearwater High Go Tornadoes, and then after I finished, I enrolled at, actually it's a bit of a journey. So
Sure.
I went to Pinellas Technical College for a year and got my licensed practical nurse degree. After that, I went to St. Petersburg College and got my AA, and then I transferred to USF and got my bachelor's in English education, and then I received my master's from St. Leo University for educational leadership.
I love that. So I've got a bunch of questions to ask you at that. So I love that you started at, we'll start at the beginning. So you went to PTC for LPN. So was that something that you thought of through high school? That was something that just interested you? Or how did you start with that as a first step?
Well, I thought about it. I was very strategic in what I wanted to do. Everyone in my household and my family, they are basically nurses or doctors. So everyone thought that was the path everyone should take. I was unsure. I thought I wanted to get a degree in marketing, but then I realized, I should go to PTC, get a 1-year degree where I can make $20 an hour and then go to college versus my friends who were going to take minimum wage jobs and try to work their way through college. So I was like, I could take a year, go to PTC and get a high paying vocational job and then basically be able to make great money during college. So that was my decision, was to go to PTC.
That's awesome. Now, did anybody influence you on that decision or guide you that way? Or you just knew, hey, I'm going to look for some good money while I'm going to school?
I just knew my mom was a great support. My mom's an RN. And I kind of already knew the kind of wages I could make. So I was like, I would go that route. But it was basically a personal decision to go do a year. And then I was going to catch up to everybody and graduate at the same time. So.
Awesome. And how about SPC? How did you end up going to SPC?
Well, I knew I was going to go to SPC. When I was in high school, I applied to colleges. I was accepted to like UNF and other universities, but I realized that I wanted to stay local. At least for the first couple of years, I was too scared to leave home. And I didn't really want to live on campus. I was really an introvert. So I thought I wanted to and continue my nursing degree. And become a nurse midwife eventually. But when I got to St. Petersburg College, my Composition 1 teacher told me I was a natural born teacher. And she told me, hey, just take this diversity in education course. And if you don't like it, change over. It's just an elective. And I loved it. They set me up with a mentor. They added me to a program that partnered with Pinellas County Schools. And it was love at first sight, and I became an education major after my first year, and I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Interesting. Now, did you know back then or even think back then that you may head toward administration in education?
Oh, definitely not. If you would have said anything about education, I would have told you that's a no-go. No one in my family is a teacher, any of that. It really was a professor who saw it in me and saw my writing skills, observed it. And then I had to teach a lesson one day and I got up there and she says, you're a teacher. And I was like, no, I'm not. And I took the course and I was in love.
And which school was that?
That was SPC.
It was, okay.
Yeah. And they did a fabulous job. Like there was a mentoring, it's called High Achievers Club. So I was in High Achievers Club. They found me a mentor at Pinellas County Schools. He was one of the directors in human resources. I met with him every 2 weeks. They introduced me to everyone. They had little banquets for us and gave us awards. So like they really had it where you felt a connection to what you were pursuing. So I really felt supported. So that was kind of like my path. Like they made sure you were supported and that you had that mentoring.
And that's super important. That's something I try to share with the students all the time is to just get involved in something, because when you're around like-minded people and there's a focus on connecting with each other and connecting with the community, I think you learn so much, and all of that's outside the classroom. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
pretty important.
And the advisors who were there, I think Miss Denotra Showers is her name.
Yes.
I remember I was in her office every week. I had an assigned mentor, and that was years, over a decade ago. And I can still remember to this day being there every week. Everybody was checking on all of the students and just making sure we had those partnerships. So that was like very important, and why I loved SPC so much.
That's great. Was it difficult for you to get involved? Like, how did you first become aware of the opportunities to be involved with those groups?
They found me, and that's
Okay.
kind of like when I'm very much a person that just goes to class and goes home. So the teacher, I remember her name. Her name was Carmen Hall. She was an English teacher. And then when I went to the education courses, everybody was connected. And so they recruited me. They sent me letters. They even gave us scholarships. Like, you know, around Christmas time, they gave us like $250 or $500. Like they always awarded and recognized us. So it was very family oriented. So we didn't have to go seek out support. Support was already there. So that's the reason why I really like the program.
That's great. What was your experience like transitioning from SPC to USF?
Oh, that was easy. Oh, we got a million bells.
That's okay.
Okay, that should be the last one.
That's all right.
But it was easy. The only reason I left SPC to transfer to USF was because I wanted a degree in English education. I didn't want to do ESC or elementary ed, which SPC offer. I wanted to do English education. I knew that was my thing. And so I needed to transfer to USF, but the process was easy. They helped me with the application. I was accepted. When I transferred, everything went with me, and they had a great support system as well. I was doing courses in Tampa and in St. Pete. So I didn't have to just marry into, oh, I can only go to this one campus. I was able to kind of double team it and kind of take them all over the place, which was great.
Did you get involved in any organizations or clubs or anything at USF?
No, I didn't do that much at USF. I think there was one, but I can't think. Oh, it was some education. It wasn't Future Educator of America or anything like that. It was on the Tampa campus. I can't think of a name. It was for Black potential educators or future educators. They had like some type of club or organization, and they would meet before a class, but I can't remember what the name of it was.
Okay.
But they were very supportive at USF as well. It was because the education, I don't know if it's still small, but it felt very small as far as the program. It wasn't a lot of students in the education department or pieces as far as, you know, USF either. So it was very tight knit.
Okay. And did you go directly to St. Leo from USF, or was there work in between?
So as soon as I graduated from USF, which was great. Oh, the internship, amazing. They did a great job at USF with matching you with who was going to be your supervisor over your internship and those pieces. So that was great. They had me at a great school in Pinellas County. My mentor or my supervisor for the internship would come once a week. They married me with a great teacher who was an expert in content. So Miss Lukashevsky, Eileen Lukashevsky at Palm Harbor Middle School. She's retired now, but they did a great job partnering and finding you the right match for what you were interested in, who would probably fit your personality needs to make sure you were successful. So that was great. So I then graduated in December. I think that was 2006. 2007, when I did my application, even before I graduated, I was being recruited, and I had a job like that next week after Christmas break. So that was great. And I went over to Tyrone Middle School to become an English teacher or reading teacher, English/reading. But they did a fabulous job. So they kind of watched you and kind of supported you as you got your first position. I took a break and didn't go straight to St. Leo. I did not want to be an administrator. I had no desire. I had no desire to be an administrator. I didn't even know what a principal did. But I had a great mentor when I came into Pinellas County School. So the one I got with SPC, with his name was Solomon Stevens. He was my mentor. Mm-hmm. He actually followed me into my first position. So his mentoring went through SPC, USF, and then when I became a teacher, he was still my mentor. So it was just great that he followed it along the way, and that was that partnership with Pinellas County Schools. And so when I got my first job, he was with me then, and I had an amazing principal. And after my first year or two, she said, "You really should look into becoming an administrator." And I was like, "Really? No." So, but then I did the courses, and I kind of just fell into it. I was a reading coach, not a reading coach, a curriculum specialist supporting reading. And then I became like a district professional development coach, and then an assistant principal, then a principal. So it kind of just kind of happened. For a lack of a better word, just like me coming into education kind of just happened. But along the way, I think the most important part is someone saw something. I didn't see that this was my future. Other people recognize my talents and my skills, and then they kind of pushed me along and was like, "Hey, you should think about this. You should do this." And that's how I kind of landed in each position.
That's great. Okay, so I know your time is precious, but I got just a couple of questions as far as advice. So if you were talking with a student who was trying to decide to go straight from high school into a four-year university, or they were considering starting at a state college and then transferring as a junior, what kind of advice would you give them?
I would first have them assess their needs and their desires. Mm-hmm. I would have been successful at a university because I was very sure of myself I was going to obtain a bachelor's or a master's degree, and I was going to be successful. But I think it depends on, number one, what type of support system they have in order to be successful, and what are they looking to get out of. So I think a lot of self-assessment has to happen for each individual kid. I know here we talk to kids about what are you trying to do? What do you want to do? What are your short-term goals? What are your long-term goals? So I would think I would first need to assess what are they trying to accomplish. And then also being honest with themselves. Like, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of time and a lot of dedication. So sometimes they might need to consider going to a state college first if they aren't sure about if this is the path they want to take. Because I think the worst thing that can happen is for you to go to a university and then you did not anticipate some of the high level of performance and persistence that it takes. Mm-hmm. So I would think a lot of building up would take, and a lot of support. So I would think I would look at it like how we do now on an individual level, and kind of letting them test out some things. So we're looking at starting the college experience here. So kids can we're going to start that second semester. So kids can get like a little taste of what, college life is like. Mm-hmm. So those are kind of some of the things I would tell a student.
Awesome. Can you share some of the things, and you have with your story, but can you share a few specific things that were learning opportunities that were outside of the classroom? A lot of students I talk to, they're so concerned about the academic side of college, but it sounds like in reality, there was so much outside of the classroom where you learned and grew, and obviously ended up discovering that you were going to be a great teacher.
Oh, so you said outside things for me personally?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Outside influences were definitely, I had my son. So he was an outside influence. So just looking at, okay, here is the statistics on being a single parent in the United States of America. And so I wanted to make sure that I afforded him every single opportunity. Even though I was 19 thinking about these things, I was very assured in myself that I definitely wanted to provide him with the best opportunities. Another piece is There was no discussion in my household regarding college. There didn't need to be one. It was an expectation of my parent that everyone decides what they're going to do, and then it's going to be up to you to make sure that it happens. Like, so college wasn't even something that I needed to discuss. I knew I was going. So that was an outside influence. To be honest with you, I never even had a high school counselor ever talk to me about college. And I think when we talk about access, that's one of the issues. And I know we've done a great job in our district with improving access and making sure students of all colors and backgrounds have access. So it's a good thing that I kind of already knew what I wanted to do and that I was going to college, because that was definitely not a talking point, even though I had passing FCAT scores and I was in honors classes. No counselor ever talked to me about my skill set. So it was me to be self-directed to make those choices. So kind of like those pieces were my outside influences that I just knew that I had the expectation and the ability to do those things. But I just feel that what about the kids who did not have that in them, but they definitely could do it, but they didn't have the foresight that they could do these things. So I just think that's being a champion for access and opportunities is important. So those were my kind of big rocks as far as what made me on the outside of school. School was always easy to me. To be honest, I probably didn't even challenge myself in high school. And sometimes even college, like, you know, I could pull off an A or a B without much thinking, but it was my professors who really pushed me and kind of, all right, take it a little further. So I think it's really getting into what do you want to do and then being able to execute it. So my personal pieces has to be my son. He just turned 18.
Wow.
September the 20th. So now he's an adult. And I just think about 18 years ago, I was 19 at SPC. And then the next year I was going to USF and I had him, but I was very sure of myself on what I wanted to do. And I think even looking at today, even though I'm 37 years old and I've been a principal for 5 years now, you know, so I kind of moved very fast. I taught for 3 years. I was an assistant principal for 3 years, and then I became a principal. So before I even did 10 years in the district, I was a principal. So I moved fast, but I kind of even look at my son who is going to graduate this year, and he's a very different student than I am. Where I was very boom, boom, boom. I knew what I wanted to do. And if I didn't have an A or a B, I was going to be upset. He's a child. He's okay with that C. He is okay with that 2.5, 2.8 GPA. And I ask him all the time, where are you going with that? Tell me, what are you going to do with that? And so even with our students here, they see education in a totally different perspective. They're innovators. They feel like they can make money on social media and being influencers and YouTubers. And they can, because there are some who are making more money than me, but still coming back to, okay, so tell me your long-term goals. Tell me, what are you going to do? So it's like coming back to that same conversation that we're having about where you're going to start and what's going to be your journey. So those are kind of my outside influences, and I kind of jumped to somewhere else, but long story short, that's it.
No, I think that's great. And I think that's an important lesson with students. And even from your own story, you may not know what that long term is, but you always got to be thinking on the next step.
Yeah.
So, you know, like you had no idea you'd be an administrator. You didn't even plan on being a teacher at first, but it's teacher and that motivator that's going to help you go in that direction, as long as you're always moving forward.
Yes.
If you're just going to sit there and wait for it to come to you, sometimes that doesn't happen. So no, I think you have a very motivating story. I'll be happy to share it with the students.
Oh, no problem. I might know some of them.
There you go. That's good. So thank you so much for your time today. I'm going to shut the interview, but don't go away yet. Hang on one second.